The Serbia comeback is real. 14 elims, I think that was, and a chicken dinner right back up the standings, Felix. Is that what they needed? Is that what's going to make them qualify today? You think, what do you think?
Oh, I think it's too early to tell, but also just judging by the names of the players in the lineup, I'd say yes. I feel like they should have been in contention either way. And the fact that it happened so late and in this kind of fashion gives me a little bit of worry, but at the same time, it doesn't really, because they have announced it. They said they want to win the first game, they want to make Sanok count, and now that Sanok is out of the way, the one round there, you know, to some degree, it's the hardest to predict your outcome. I feel like the chances are really, really good. But yeah. I think Moldova and Romania are not to be underestimated. These two teams can frag out, and they've been doing so consistently. So I still think, despite them getting really close, there's still a long road ahead of them. And they potentially might even need another win to really secure it. And the good thing is also, and you said it during the game, Turkey, Ukraine, and even France, continuously picking up points. There's just nothing that can break these guys. And if that happens, it leaves more room for the rest of them.
I mean, even France, we barely talked about them this game, right? All we saw was Romania double-nading themselves. But France picked up 10 elims and a 4th place out of this game. And that's a classic France, I feel like. They get a few elims early to get them the space they need. Then they get in a good position and they win another fight. Suddenly their game is fantastic. So they've really solidified themselves towards the top there. And it's like we said, like we alluded to, it might just become a battle for 4th and 5th. And I think that's what we're going to see today. And like we said, there's a chance you get in there if you're Serbia. I think Serbia now just barely beating Azerbaijan. Both these teams have one big game and then not a whole lot rest in the others. They got to string together rounds. And if they can do that, especially now on the maps where you have a little bit more space, it's a little bit more structured. If they're able to fix their stuff there, then their cards are looking pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Once again, I think it's too early to tell, but to give you a final answer, I think they're going to do it. Actually, I kind of feel like Serbia is going to do it. I think that's the confidence that they need, and the confidence is going to propel them in the next couple of games. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be heading into the second game of today. It's going to be the 8th game in total, as we have 4 more chances afterwards to potentially pick up some points and potentially qualify for all these countries towards Riyadh later this year, because that's where everyone wants to go. Be reminded, we haven't really talked about this today, the top 5 on the overall standings after today. The top 5 will be going to Riyadh later this year. These guys have qualified. These countries will be representing their nations against all the other different regions. We already have the first 3 teams coming out of the Asia and Oceania region. For the rest of them, we'll be taking a closer look throughout the next weeks. But let's get back to Europe. Let's get back to the second game of the day. It is going to be ERANGEL. Yesterday, there has been hot drops towards Rozhok, and I kind of want to see it happen again, because now that both of these teams, I'm talking Ukraine and Turkey, are qualified almost safely already. I feel like there's not as much risk involved anymore as there was yesterday in the 4th game.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. That's the interesting part, is there is basically no risk involved, but there's also very little payoff, because both of them are going to be going to the LAN, and I don't think you really want a hot drop on LAN. So maybe you want to win the hot drop now to signal that you're not going to leave and that you're not going to be beaten out of it.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's a weird topic, I think, in PUBG, because you can win the hot drop just by being more stubborn. Yes, you can win this 3 times today. That doesn't mean that the other team is going to leave. The other team can just decide, well, we're staying anyways. We want Rozhok, and we can ruin your tournament if you want to keep contesting us. So it becomes a bit of an ego question almost, and it becomes a thing where you can win a hot drop by being stubborn. So we'll have to wait and see, but I see on the map that it's looking like a bit of a contest, at least. They're very close in proximity. I think they might be fighting for that garden compound, and they're definitely not giving it up.
No, and once again, I kind of agree with the hot drop as opposed to your opinion, because I think, as you said, it's about making your standpoint clear now and doing that in a situation like this, where the results don't matter as much anymore. I feel like it's a better option than doing it on LAN, because I don't think they're going to do the same thing on LAN. I think they're going to try and take these next 2 games now to figure out, hey, who's going to take this hot drop now? And we've seen it go both ways, kinda, to some degree, right? I think once it actually went the way of Turkey, and then the other time it went the way of Ukraine to some degree. I think there was an early frag happening So we're gonna have to wait and see. But I feel like I like it, and I feel like we're not gonna see the same thing on land. I think this is the final fight now during the next 2 games. Montenegro though against Belgium, it's another fight that definitely isn't happening on land because both these teams do not seem to be anywhere close to qualifying as of right now, but that might very well change. I think Montenegro and Belgium, 2 underdog stories that we haven't really touched on as much, both performing relatively decently. They just haven't had that one big round that they need to potentially catch up.
Exactly. They need the Serbia experience. They need the Azerbaijan experience where they pop off completely for one round, but not looking likely when you lose the first player so early. We saw a good trade there come out, a good knock coming out of Belgium, but doesn't matter if your player is the one that gets flushed and you don't get anything to show for it. A bit of a rough hot drop, and not something that either of these teams are going to be mighty happy about when you look at the inventory as well, right? Not a whole lot of gear, not a whole lot of meds. There's Ukraine versus Turkey. The garden compound is what they picked. And also, not looking all too awesome for Ukraine right now, but they might just be dodging. They might just be leaving this fully. Yes, they are. And hopefully not going to lose anyone in transition. That's a good bunch of damage into the car from Wild. We've seen that man do crazy things with a mini, but right now, all he has is an AR, and Ukraine does actually get away from this. This is what I said yesterday as well. We've seen that in the very first game of yesterday. Turkey versus Ukraine, and Ukraine goes, well, we're not in a good position for this fight, actually. We just dodge. And that's sometimes you have to make a call like that that doesn't feel very confident, doesn't feel like you're really getting the most out of the situation, but sometimes that's a necessary call to make.
Yeah. It's the right call as well, to be honest. I mean, if you think about what would be the best outcome, I feel like that would really give you the best outcome if you would play this round over and over and over again. Talking about best outcomes, unfortunately, Luxembourg hasn't really had a best outcome yet. They're still sitting all the way down there on 0 points. I'm hoping they're going to regroup, show us at least a tiny bit of why they have obviously gotten to this point. I love the country. Love the people over there in Luxembourg, very close to us, obviously, in the middle of Europe. And unfortunately, once again, 0 points haven't shown us what maybe we expected from them as well. Yes, less experienced teams, but 0 points, that's definitely below what they expected as well going into this. Croatia, one more team pulling up to this fight. It's potentially a 3-way fight now with Montenegro closing the distance sometime soon. And Belgium is going to be immediately shut down. That's Jump already down and out. I think the flash is going to come any second now. There it is, and that means Belgium just with the single player left alive.
Gets inside the shack. Stays alive for now, but not for long. Croatia with a bit of a camp, bit of a push into this hot drop. They saw the hot drop happening, and they are the ones benefiting from it. I was getting a little concerned because we've seen a Serbia player knocked in the kill feed, but not confirmed just yet. So that's a fight that's still about to happen. And now Croatia even turned their attention towards Montenegro, just taking frags on both sides. They want to take the crash here. They want to make this happen. They want to make this happen fast as well. And oh boy, Mali is going in like a crazy man. Does he not know they're in the shack? Our team is not giving him the information. Doesn't feel like it, but now surely Blue from the top should find a bit of an angle. It's a 1-1 trade, but that's not as clean as they wanted this to be. They wanted this to be a sneak up and a quick execution. Now they're getting players knocked, and they're starting to struggle a little bit themselves here.
Yeah, Croatia, 27 points, 12th place in the leaderboard. They still need that big round, and now, look at this. Synergy is getting caught off guard as well, tries to run across the street. Maybe his teammate can kind of back him up, but sidelines seem to be quite difficult. It's not really a fight that's worth it at this point for any of these teams. And to make matters worse, these teams kind of fight for qualification as well, so they're just taking points off of each other. It's going to make it harder for everyone. But yeah, this 3-way fight, not really having a clear win at the moment. And look at this, Blue being now the last one alive for Croatia here. Outside, obviously, of Siki, but he's actually going for the revive. Okay, never mind me, Blue. Okay, so he's going to get the revive if he's somehow found a bike because the rest of the players are still too busy shooting at each other.
Not what they wanted. Not a disaster just yet, but definitely not what they wanted. Ukraine, on the other hand, they've breached. They've flown into the apartments, and so far that's going pretty okay for them. They've picked up the openings. First player now, actually, Avika. And a bit of bother, but Oh, Tulika, he wants to run through the flames to get that res. Takes a whole bunch of damage in the process, but they do get the clear. So Ukraine stay clean in this, even though it looks a little messy, and pick up 4 elims there. Quick breach after the disengage to Turkey, and a quick 4 points.
Yeah, I don't think he realized he was outside. I didn't either. I thought he was inside there as well, but he was just around the corner. And Navlik ran inside, tried to save his teammate, and he must have screamed, "Well, what are you doing? I'm outside. Just get me, please." And it worked out in the end. Either way, Molotov didn't touch him just enough. So Ukraine, yeah, back on top, 4 points. They're increasing the distance now. 11 points as Montenegro is now trying to close out Croatia. And that is a massive, massive nade. Perfectly code coming out from Rogo, who shuts down both of the Croatian players right outside the city walls. And that means just one player left alive. And he's been in that same position throughout the entirety of the fight. So he's going to be somewhat expected there as well.
Look at the Belgian player in the shack, though. He's not expected at all. He's gone unnoticed to the whole Montenegro squad. Now he peeks out, finds the first, looking for a second.
Oh!
He can't make it happen. The PP Bison comes through, and it's an absolute disaster for 2 teams there in that Lipovka area. Croatia thought they were picking up some freebies. Montenegro, they are now down to 2. Belgium is completely eliminated. Hasn't really gone according to plan. Hasn't gone according to plan for Germany either in this tournament. But now, Jiao Hao gets a good bunch of shots out. Just needs to connect 2 more bullets here. Maybe 3 more is what he needs for the knock. He's not going to get it. And the Czech Republic is going to get away with just a scare here.
Good stuff. Next zone shift is going to be towards the northern side. It's going to give France plenty of options. All the teams coming out of Razok have already rotated out. Ukraine and Turkey. Both with 4 players alive, so that initial hot job that we expected to see did not happen, did not come through, but they have found different opponents. Either way, Ukraine there with a quick wipe that we've seen. Poland is going to be eliminated now. That's going to make things interesting.
Yeah.
54 points, just 1 point needed for Belarus now to overtake them.
4 frags for Armenia, and that's one of our top spots. Showing quite a lot of weakness in the first 2 matches here. Remember Poland getting 2v4'd by Turkey. Essentially 1v3 there at the end, I think, by a solo Turkish player in the Sanok. Not a good showing for them today, and that's pretty much what these teams were hoping for. Everybody that's on the catch-up. A Belarus, a Bulgaria, a Serbia. That's all they could hope for. Moldova in the same sort of spot now. Taking a few frags towards Belarus. Is one of their closest competitors. It's going to be nice to see. That's the first confirm, I believe. And if they can get their second knock on gun pain down as well, they can find Potenchik. And they're looking really good for this game here, Felix.
Looking really, really good. It would be amazing if Romania now and Moldova both had a pretty good game. That would close the distance between all these top teams even further. You can see Moldova on 42 points. They have kind of... Yeah, I want to say they're kind of hitting like a... I wouldn't call it a weak performance just yet, but they've definitely not been as exciting to watch as the first 4 games that we've seen in this qualifier.
Yeah.
They've somewhat slowed down, I want to say drastically, actually, because I feel like the biggest round that we've seen in the last 4 games was maybe like a 4 or 5 point game, and that's just not enough for them. They're such a talented roster, such a experienced roster as well. Some of these guys have been playing the European scene for what feels like forever. Some of them have actually been teammates with Old Boy as well, just recently, just last year. To give you an idea on how experienced these guys are. But when I see them back on top, when I see Moldova, actually we saw, I think, the Moldovan Esports Federation in the chat as well. So shout out to all the Moldovan fans out there. We have seen you. Just in general, it's been an amazing chat. So keep on supporting your nation.
Spam those flags.
Deciding just yet.
Yes, spam those flags in chat. We want to see who you're supporting. Moldova picking up a few frags. Romania, on the other hand, have lost a member early. Nothing to show for it. We'll have to find their way on into the circle. Turkey as well. Just making that approach back to Rozhok now with this circle shift coming on in. And it's Moldova on the other side. They go for a quick breach, south side of the road. Early control. Don't mind that at all. If they find ways to play back out of there, if they find ways to take control from there, I love to see it. But look at that. Ukraine is getting knocked back towards the Turkish squad from the apartments all the way across. They knock down Silas. and they make this a little more tricky than Turkey would have thought.
Really good reaction coming out from Turkey. They immediately want to rescue him. 4, maybe 5 smokes being put onto the street almost immediately after that knock happened. And everyone else was just being, shot at from the distance. Although I couldn't really get that flash just yet. And I think Turkey, they're going to try their best to bring him back. It is only phase 3. In a city ending like this, in a city fight like this, I'm sure it's not going to end there, but in a city fight like this, needing to fight yourself out of it, that 4th player is going to be so massively important. You can tell they already drove down smoke wall, picked him back up, going to drive him back to the compound, and will be able to revive him. So Turkey will stay as 4th. That's a massive, massive pickup, and really good team play coming out from the Turkish squad.
Yeah, the reaction speed there is just something that everyone else can take note of. Is the first reaction is not to look around, is not to play your own life, it's to get a smoke out for your teammate. And they all do that, and they get a whole bunch of smokes out and to give their teammates a chance to stay alive on this. Citro is knocked, Unknown has to be careful here, as Montenegro still have 1 player left in this game to try and make an impact. Oh, that nade could have been big, but he doesn't get it through the second window especially. He's going to try and line up another one. He knows exactly where they are. He cooks this to perfection. It is a confirm. It is 1 more defeat. But now he's stuck outside. Turos from range cleans that up. Montenegro goes down, and at least for a while, Hungary stays in this.
3 players, though. They are weakened as well. As I am surprised, and I gotta say that again, I'm kind of surprised that so many teams already committing to Razok that early on. It's phase 3. It's not that strong of a position. I feel like it's not even centralized as much as I would have expected it to be when 3 teams are committing to it that early, because rotating out of it, that's the big part, and that's I'm so confused. That can be really tough at times. As you have the next fight coming up, Germany is really trying to make things happen here against Armenia. They're trying to isolate these players. Armenia has found themselves a bit of confidence in this round already, though. So Germany needs to be careful. If they win this, though, that entire edge is clear, and I think Germany knows that. So I really like what Germany is doing right now. This would be a massive and really strong fight for them to take. Obviously, if they clean this, they would have them from the northern side, would have control over all of it. So that would give them so much playing room. But you can tell Armenia is not trying to take this just yet. They're trying to take the positions that Germany would like to play in the next couple of phases.
Lots of space for Germany if they figure it out, if they get all that scouted and realize they can play from there. As we see the Rozok fight heating up a little bit, Romania getting mighty close to the Turkish squad here. But I'm not quite sure if this is going to be a real fight or if they're just going to be happy neighbors. Because right now they're both in the circle, and with that shift, they're both happily in the circle as well. So they might just look to reset this and just chill out a bit. As Icy does what Icy does best. Just pick himself up a few frags for the Bulgarian squad to keep them in the running.
Romania lost a player, lost Dorin, who's been part of, if I remember correctly, the 4 Romanian boys as well for the longest period of time. He might even still be. I'm not too sure about Dorin at the moment, but yeah, he was, I've said it a million times, but he was such a key fragger of that lineup. He's been fragging out in PPL back then, and then obviously PMSL as well. They do think he played in the Europe 1-2, but either way, they're going to be with their backs against the walls here in Rozok. If it does shift out, they're going to be in massive trouble. No real rotation path outwards, and they'll have to just continuously fight everyone that's going to be inside the city by that point, and that's going to be Turkey for one, and also obviously Moldova on the other side.
13 teams left. Gonna be interesting to see what happens when Phase 5 comes in, especially if Phase 5 does go away from this Rozok area. Like you said, it is quite stacked at this point. And Moldova has a pretty good idea that Bulgaria has pulled up to the side of the hill. Good rotate from Germany. Good bit of space grab for themselves. But like you said, this is stacked. This is gonna get tricky. And they'll have to find a way through. And they've not been the best at finding their way into circles. They've been really decent at fights. They've not been the best at making it into tough circles. So we'll have to just bait our breath and see what they can do with this.
Yeah, agreed. It's not been as easy as some of these other games in the last day. They've been struggling to find an entry. time and time again. And this time around, it's been even tougher. Talking about Spain here as well. In that regard, Spain has positioned themselves in school. It's a pretty good position to be in this kind of phase. I feel like it's a very tough phase for plenty of these teams to predict, because honestly, it could still shift anywhere. I feel like, I mean, a clear ending in this one is almost impossible to predict. I wouldn't know where this one's going to end. But historically, yes, of course, it has more so shifted towards the northern side. Maybe even ended north of the compound by France. I feel like that's the most probable ending. But then again, between Rozhok and the compound in the very center of it, that's where we've seen endings as well. I think south of it is probably the most unlikely region for it to end. So I guess it's going to be kind of a three-way, four-way fight here between all these teams making it off Rozhok to potentially have a good spot now to secure this dinner.
Like in this position from Armenia. Not a bad spot to find yourself in. Holding down the bridges. Playing under them, using them as cover can be quite successful, especially even if you have to move off. You can often play the coastline towards Rozhok. But they would have to deal with the team on their north. They would have to take these players out to be able to move through the open. Have to wait and see if they pull that off cleanly. They know well that they're there. That's a good bunch of damage. That's a good knock. Not sure if they're going to be able to flush that or if the rock's tall enough. Might just keep them safe for one res, but that circle's moving, and that circle's going to eliminate the Hungarian players, and then from there on out, I think their days are very, very numbered.
Yeah.
I think it's not days, it's seconds at that point.
I really like the initiative, though, from Hungarian. I'm surprised to see them in 20th place. Every time I look at the overall leaderboard, I'm like, how is Hungary that far down? Because and whenever we see them, I feel like there is initiative. There's creativity in their game and play, and they just cannot seem to win the fights. I feel like that's the biggest problem. They just individually are, unfortunately, just not superior on whoever they meet, really. Because, I mean, just judging by their kill points, they really haven't picked up any in any of these rounds, really. So if that would change, the chances definitely would be better for them to have a chance of qualification. But this round, it looks all the more unlikely. Quick trades coming in. Belarus actually getting eliminated here, despite finding a couple of players. Look at this. They end the round with 6 frags. That right now puts them into qualification again. But looking at it, so many teams right behind them. 56 points on 4th and 5th place. That is not much. Moldova and Azerbaijan still in very good positions. As always, Bulgaria, a good round from any of them could take out Belarus and Romania in 4th and 5th place.
Big strike towards Ukraine as well. They were 4 versus 1 in that shack. And he doesn't only knock 3, he also gets 2 of the flushes. So crazy performance from him there, and a big step in the way of Ukraine that they have to overcome. Now, they have consolidated, and they've put 2 players back on their feet, but everybody around them should have a good idea. Okay, the team in the shack is severely weakened, and that might be our play out of school maybe at some point. But then again, you look at a team like Bulgaria here, they've been mighty busy. They might not have even realized what was going on at that center shack. And I'm looking at the minimap as well, and I see that Moldova, they're holding their hillside right now. They would love to peek over into this. They just can't at the moment. But if they get a chance, they'll be peeking over into this fight, and they make life so much worse for both of these teams.
Yeah, agreed. I'm surprised to not see Bulgaria play against Spain just head on, because they must know at this point Spain is kind of the only team towards the southern side, and if Spain is still in there, they can never rotate out of this edge. I mean, Spain is just going to shoot them to rotate out, so I feel like they're just waiting for Spain to be pushed out by the blue zone. But at that point, if any of them gets knocked, it's probably going to be really tough to get them back up. So I feel like taking initiative early on would be beneficial for them. Next fight is going to happen. Romania is going to run into Germany, rather the other way around, actually, as Germany was going to have to push them. There's a couple of nades being tried back and forth, but I think it's 2 plays down from Germany, just like that. Romania defending that building beautifully so far. That nade is not even going to hit them either. And they just cannot seem to find any kind of opening. Ghosty goes down as well. That's Germany, just down to a single player who's still all the way back into Rozhok, who hasn't even joined this fight, unfortunately, for Germany. So it was a 3-on-3 to begin with. And yeah, it was his still in that single building, and because of that, I think the chances of Germany still having a big round of this one, almost impossible.
Almost impossible. as they are looking now to maybe close out the Czech Republic solo, maybe get into the top 8, maybe get themselves one more elim here. That's all they want, and that's a nice little nade to do the job, I think. Moldova on the other side have made the push towards Turkey, but they're getting absolutely peppered by multiple teams right now, so they have to slow this down, and they had to get the res. The same is true for France. They've been able to fend off the north, but have had to get players back on their feet. Another, I want to say, quiet game for France, because we haven't seen them, Felix. But they're on 11 elims already, right? They have absolutely cleared out their northeastern side completely, and they're just looking to put another big step ahead of them on the scoreboard. Now, don't count out Hisko. He's going for it. Hisk is just trying to do this all, and I think Moldova has no idea.
Yeah, Hisk is in a really good spot now to potentially third party some more of these players. Oh, that one gets stolen. Unfortunately, V8 is down and out, but not by the hands of Hisk. And he's going to try and get a cheeky rotation path in. Maybe even in between the buildings could be perfect. I think Moldova is not watching, and so isn't Romania, as we have now reached the top 7 in Germany. Man, I can only think, imagine they wipe Romania here. Once again, this is the type of fights that unfortunately Germany just continues to lose. The most important fights, right when it gets into late game, that's when they lose the players. Imagine just having all 4 players here. I feel like the chance against Romania stacked in this building, grouped up all by themselves, would have been better as a foreman, but unfortunately just couldn't be done, I guess, with how far back Hisk really was. So yeah, monumental task ahead of him. He's going to have to stay alive in between Turkey, that we're seeing right now, cleaning up these edges, and the rest of the Romanian squad.
There might be some sort of timing he can find when that fight erupts, right? When the two big teams start squaring off against each other, 3 on Turkey, 3 on Romania. There is a chance, but it's a slim one. It's a tough one. I think he's well known, and yeah, you could see them from the building there. You could see them looking out for him and looking for him, especially because he was trying to get a flush, right? He was nading players in the city. They were well aware that he was there, and they do close that out. It's double points as well for that kill. It's the 7th elim, and it's another placement point for Romania, and they are looking to grab every single bite of the points they can get. If they know now, if they see France fighting in the kill feed, if they maybe know that France has moved out, they could make a massive play around the north here, but I think that's completely unrealistic. They are going to fight Turkey 90% of the time here, because that's what they see in front of them, and that's the play they know about.
Yeah. I think that's what they need to do as well. And they need to do it sooner than later, because as soon as the zone really starts closing in, it's going to be way more difficult. And look at this, France. France has the compound. That's the crazy part. France has the compound, and they've had this for quite some time, but they still push out of it. There's a single player in the compound. I think he must be on top of the roof. I think that's why he's still holding this. It's a really strong position. Yeah. But despite them not needing to move, they're still moving out of this one. This is Turkey level of play in that one round that we saw on ERANGEL last day. But this time around, it's not Turkey, it's France indeed. And that's the big kind of surprise factor in this one. 15 eliminations now. France is picking apart this lobby, one team by another. And they are very close to reaching Ukraine as a result of that. Then just not doing any mistakes on these close-up fights.
I think they're going to pass them this game if they keep playing like that, right? Like, this is just phenomenal from them. Even clearing out Ukraine when they didn't have to. But now, it's Romania versus Turkey. It's the two big dogs of Rozhok that are squaring off against each other. Lawrence comes around the corner, finds one with the UMP, gets traded, and it's a close win for Turkey, but only 2 left standing. France is going to choke them out of this circle. They're not going to let them step in. Look at this. Instantly taken out. No chance to get out of the building. France has firm control of this game. And the only thing that's still standing in their way in a few seconds here is going to be Icy. I think Silas has absolutely no chance. He's spotted, he's naded, he's 1 HP. The blue against his back. This should be all but over, and this is a France performance.
My goodness, 17 frags at the moment for France as we head on over to the very last 2 teams left alive. And it is Silas going down as well. No chance for him. He's going to pick up that 3rd place. And France is now looking for the 19th frag. Icy has the opportunity to potentially deny this one, but I don't think he even needs to. Realistically, I think the best case scenario for him would be picking up this frag. It's not going to happen, though. France takes it home. It is one of the biggest wins we have for the IESF World Esports Championship qualifier here in the Europe region. The 2nd biggest at that, despite it being 19 frags. And what a performance. We said that France needed that 1 win, and they've been the most consistent team despite not grabbing any wins, and Ukraine and Turkey just overshadowing them. Now this one single round turns everything around, because they will take the 1 spot. Not only that, they will take the 1 spot in a fashion that others except Turkey just have not done.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's a crazy win from France, and I think that started off as a really messy game, and I think it continued to be a messy game, especially in Rozhok. But France stay completely clear of that. They kept all their edges clear. They flexed out of their compound when they wanted to, and when they felt like they could do. And you can see that there, picking up kills on Ukraine that they didn't need to get, but they just figured out we can. Yes, we can just go out and knee the guys at the shack. So a beautiful display of aggression, and that's very similar to what we said about the Turkey game, right? The crazy 24 kill game. France played very similar this one, where they weren't just sitting on what they had. They were really realizing every single opportunity they could, and they stayed clean throughout all of it, Felix.
Yeah, I gotta say, I still prefer the Turkey one. I feel like there was a little bit less zone involved, and a little bit more initiative taken and rotating out of the zone and all sorts of stuff. But this comes very close to it. So yeah, you can see Rob's 9 frags, Victor being the only one that is kind of being overshadowed by the performance obviously of his teammates. But I think he must have been the player in the back lines, kind of anchoring that compound, because otherwise I don't see why it was that far down on damage there. But still 300 damage on him. Good stuff. Robsy here, not elimination, is taking home the MVP, and it shouldn't be any other way. This guy had one head of a performance, massive stuff coming up from him, and yeah, deservingly takes home the most valuable player award here in match number 10.
9 elims is completely wild, right? That's records once again. I don't think we've seen double-digit elims on a player yet. We've seen 9 a few times, but he just completely frags the hell out. And yeah, crazy stuff from him. Crazy stuff from the France squad. We once again have a lot of the favorites, right? We have Ukraine, Turkey playing really good games. This time it was Romania that got close to the performances of these top teams, but not close to what France has been able to pull off here, and not even beating Turkey there at the end, right? Turkey just a little bit too strong, holding down that compound and keeping Romania at an arm's length in that game and on the leaderboard.
Good stuff. 107 points. Who would have thought we would have a switch up like this? I didn't think France was gonna come back like that. I mean, I knew they were going to be consistently fragging, and I said at the beginning of the broadcast as well, the only thing that's really necessary for them to solidify their position in the top 5 is taking that one win. Not even necessarily in terms of qualification, because I think they were in a pretty good spot even before that, but in terms of solidifying chances as well to do something big at the IESF World Esports Championship. Because ultimately, that's what even France at that point was already aiming for, and had secured, not necessarily secured yet, but at least was really close to it and realistically secured. So 107 points is definitely going to solidify that chance of doing something big. Even when we head on over to land, 107 points, I don't think it's going to be reached either. I think that's almost double points of what we have as the current cutoff. You can see Belarus being down 56 in 6th place. Massive stuff.
Crazy stuff. 107 points. That is over 13 points a game. That is a win with 3 elims every single game. That's completely mental. But Ukraine, Turkey as well in that same pack of teams that are just better than the rest of the lobby right now. And then it keeps staying close, right? Bulgaria on 62, Belarus 56, and then 54 on Poland. The only one that's fallen off a bit here is Moldova. They haven't been able to close that gap. They've been falling behind a little bit. And we have to talk about Poland as well, Felix. They've not been here today. They've been here yesterday. They've not showed up today. They have had a really poor start to the day with, I think, a 4-point and then a 0-point game back-to-back.
Crazy. I mean, nothing short of amazing. The performances some of these top teams are putting out, as we had on obviously the second part of the leaderboards. The same cannot be said, unfortunately, about some of these teams here, right? Some teams just struggling to take on placement points. Germany being one of them. That was the 2nd placement point in 8 games. The 2nd one. Just goes to show you, these guys have unfortunately always fallen short when it came to that one deciding fight. And I cannot seem to fix it, apparently. I mean, even they tried to fix it in this one. That original fight against Amir, for example, was a good chance at actually eliminating that one team that was kind of in between them and having good entry towards the northern side. But as soon as that didn't happen, it once again, unfortunately, fell apart against Romania. They're 3-on-3, being cleanly wiped. That just cannot happen in a situation like this, where you need to pick up these rounds. And the same can honestly be said about plenty of these teams down there. Croatia as well, Serbia, and so on and so forth. But the chances are still there, in theory. 4 more games are to be played, and I think it's going to happen very shortly.
The Croatia dream is, and the Serbia dream especially, right? I was dreaming it after the first round, but they fall short here. They have 4 more chances though, and we're gonna show you 4 more games of PUBG Mobile in a bit. So short break, and then we're coming back with another Erangel for you.